Welcome to the Padres Postgame Show on the Padres Radio Network. Coming up, we'll deliver a full recap of today's game, including highlights from the biggest moments. We'll take a trip down to the manager's office to hear from Mike Shildt. Plus, we'll bring you scores from around Major League Baseball. The Padres Postgame Show starts now on the Padres Radio Network.
2-1 from Suarez. The pitch. Ramirez swings, hits it in the air to deep right center. Long way to go, Merrill. He'll get there to make the catch on the warning track, and the ball game is over. For just the second time this year, the Guardians drop a home series. Padres come out of the break and take 2 out of 3 here in Cleveland against the team with the best home record in all of Major League Baseball.
The Padres win by the slimmest of margins in Cleveland, Ohio, as they beat the Guardians by a final score of 2-1. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. Welcome into our Padres postgame show here on the Padres Radio Network. After losing on Friday, the Padres bounced back with 2 really nice wins last night and here today as they win it 2-1 against the Guardians. Padres improved to 52-50. Guardians dropped to 59-39. And like Jesse alluded to in the final call, the Guardians, who have been so good at home all season long and entered the second half of the season, the best record in the American League, well, they lose just their second series of the season at home, the first time it's happened in Cleveland since mid-April when the Yankees took 2 out of 3. So the Padres take 2 out of 3 from the Guardians, and a lot to smile about as the Padres will enjoy an off day tomorrow in our nation's capital and then continue this 9-game road trip with the start of a 3-game series in Washington on Tuesday. A lot to do on our post-game coverage. We'll go back to Progressive Field in Cleveland, hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt in just a little bit. We'll recap this game from start to finish, all the radio highlights for you. But we begin with this. The story begins and ends here today, much like last night with Dylan Cease and how great he was over 7 scoreless innings. Well, the story begins and ends in this one with Michael King, who was absolutely terrific in this game. 7 innings, 1 earned run given up, 2 hits. He took a no-hit bid into the 7th inning. Even when he got in trouble in the 7th inning, allowed just 1 run, kept the Padres in front. And then the Padres bullpen does the rest. Jeremiah Estrada gets the first 2 outs of the 8th inning, then a walk with 2 outs, puts the tying run on base, the go-ahead run at the plate. The Padres doing what they've asked Robert Suarez to do a bunch of times this year, and that's come in a big spot with an off day the next day and come in and get a 4-out save. And what did Robert Suarez do? Well, he got the final out of the 8th inning, and then he had to face the very top 3 in the Guardians' order in the bottom half of the 9th inning. And what does he do? 1, 2, 3 inning, gets through it, retires Jose Ramirez to end the game, with Ramirez, one of the best players in all of baseball, representing the tying run. And the Padres hang on for a 2-1 win. The only offense in this game was Kyle Higashioka. So you look at the Juan Soto trade, this was a good day for the Padres side of it, because King was outstanding and Kyle Higashioka provided the only runs the Padres scored in this one. That came early in the 2nd inning against Ben Lively, a 2-run double, and for a while it looked like the Padres would be able to tack on. And look, that was the one blemish of this game. The Padres had a ton of opportunities in the middle innings, in the late innings, to make it more than a 2-0 game, then a 2-1 game. After the Guardians scored their first run, the Padres left on 9 in this game. They were 1 for 6 with runners in scoring position. But look, throughout the course of 162 and on the road against a really good Guardians team, you have to sometimes win games like this, right? Where you get a little early offense and you can't add on, and your starting pitching has to be great. It was here today, and the bullpen was terrific as well. And you look at this series, what a job. Even though the Padres did not win all 3 games, they took 2 out of 3. And look, against this Guardians team, like we said, how good they've been overall and how great they've been at home. You will take this 100% and carry on to Washington, D.C., taking 2 out of 3. But you look at what the starting pitching did to begin the second half this series in Cleveland. Matt Waldron, 6+ innings, on Friday night, 1 run given up, and then the last 2 games from Dylan Cease and Michael King, you just don't get much better than that. Dylan Cease yesterday, 7 shutout innings, gave up just 1 hit, and Michael King, like we said here today, took a no-hitter into the 7th inning, 7 innings, 1 run allowed for King. So you look at the 2 of those guys combined in the last 2 days, it's 14 innings total, 1 earned run given up, 3 hits, 16 strikeouts, and 2 walks. And the Padres win both of the games. So great starting pitching. If the Padres get that kind of starting pitching from those 3 in the second half of the season, that is a very, very big deal. And we know when Cease is on, when King is on, it is truly special stuff. It really is. And much like Cease yesterday, there was a role in this game, a time in this game where King was unhittable. And really, you mean it here today with the 6 no-hit innings. And I'll tell you what, through 6, he's at 70 pitches. The way he was going, and I turned to Frank here in the studio. I said, he's in a great spot to get this done. Now, he gives up a bloop single to begin the 7th inning, but even after that, and we'll talk a little bit more about that bottom half of the 7th inning and how it transpired, the throw from Manny to get Ramirez at second base after the second hit that King gave up. We'll dive into it a little bit more during our game recap, but the Padres did a lot of little things right, pitching-wise and defensively in this game. That was a big moment in the 7th inning when they got the out of Ramirez at second base, and then Robert Suarez coming in and recording a 4-out save. He continues to be so good for this team, his willingness to go get 4 outs, and ultimately the Padres win it 2-1. They win this series in Cleveland, and after what was a very, I think on Friday night, we called it a very deflating performance by the Padres on Friday night, considering they got shut out. They only had 4 hits, and you just felt like the struggles from the end of the first half, that final homestand before the All-Star break, carried into the start of the second half of the season. Well, to their credit, they were different games last night and today, but they found a way to win them against the team that just doesn't lose very much at home. And by the way, you want to look at what the Guardians offense did in this series, especially the last couple of games. They had 2 hits today. They had 1 hit yesterday. So think about that for a second. A Guardians team that came in the best record in the American League entering this weekend. Padres held them to just 3 hits in the last 2 games of this series. And quite frankly, if you take out the 8th inning on Friday night, the Guardians did not do much against the Padres at all offensively in this series. So again, it speaks to how good Waldron was for the most part, how dominant Dylan Cease was, and how dominant Michael King was. And when you get starting pitching like that, you're going to win a lot of games, and the Padres win 2 out of 3 in Cleveland. We'll step aside. We have the radio highlights for you. We'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. Again, the final score here today in the series finale rubber game of this 3-game set. The Padres 2 and the Guardians 1. Our postgame coverage continues after this on the Padres Radio Network. Our post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios as we wrap this one up. Padres beat the Cleveland Guardians 2-1 in the rubber match of this 3-game series. Padres now 52-50. Guardians dropped to 59-39 on the season. We'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt coming up in just a little bit, but maybe you were doing something else on this Sunday morning turned into Sunday afternoon with the Padres playing an early game, the final game of this series in Cleveland. If you missed any of this one, let's recap it for you.
What moments had the biggest impact on today's game? We'll paint you a picture with our game recap on the Padres Radio Network.
Let's begin at the very beginning of this game. A scoreless first inning for both starting pitchers. Ben Lively on the mound for Cleveland. Michael King on the mound for the Padres. Padres rallied in the top of the second. Jackson Merrill drew a one-out walk. Ha-Sung Kim hit a two-out single that sent Merrill to third base. Kim then stole second. There were two runners in scoring position for Kyle Higashioka.
1-2, Higashioka swings, lines it into left field and a base hit. Merrill will score. Here comes Kim as it rolls to the base of the wall, and Higashioka chugging into second base. A 2-run double and a 2-0 Padre lead.
So the Padres had an early 2-0 lead. Michael King was rolling early on. He was perfect through 3 innings. He retired the first 10 batters of the game, then issued a one-out walk to Angel Martinez, but he got out of the 4th inning by retiring the next 2. King struck out 2 in a 1-2-3 bottom half of the 5th inning. He struck out another as he retired the side in order in the 6th.
Try to work yet another 1-2-3 inning. Here's the 1-1. Kwan swings, grounds it to Cronenworth for the 3rd time today. Jake's got it. Long throw to first in plenty of time. And 6 no-hit innings for Michael King.
So 6 no-hit frames for Michael King. He was at just 70 pitches. Meanwhile, the game stayed 2-0. Ben Lively allowed just the 2 runs through 5 innings and a third. Guardians relievers Nick Sandlin and Peter Strzelecki got through the 6th inning and the 7th inning with the Padres still ahead just 2-0. So King took a no-hitter into the bottom half of the 7th inning. Angel Martinez was the first batter. He looped a single into center. The no-hit bid was over. Jose Ramirez then singled into right. Martinez went to third base. The throw went to third. Manny Machado then threw to second as Ramirez tried to get in there. Ramirez was out. That was a really big play in this game in the grand scheme of things, because instead of having runners on second and third with nobody out, it was a runner at third base with 1 out. The Guardians would score Martinez on a ground out from Josh Naylor. Padres playing the infield back. Padres lead was cut to 2-1. King finished the inning, though, 7 terrific frames with the Padres still in front by that 2-1 score. So then it became a question of 2 things. Could the Padres add on, and could the Padres find a way to shut the door with the bullpen? They had a ton of opportunities to add on in this game. Runners on first and third in the 5th, a 1-out single in the 6th inning, a 2-out double in the 7th. Then with it being just a 1-run lead in the 8th inning, they had runners at first and third with 1 out. Jackson Merrill struck out. Then later in the inning, the bases loaded with 2 men away, and Ha-Sung Kim struck out. So the Padres had left 9 on base through 8 innings in this one, but they still led 2-1. Jeremiah Estrada came on for the bottom half of the 8th inning. He got the first 2 outs, but then he walked pinch hitter David Fry. The Guardians pinch hit in the number 9 spot with Bo Naylor. The Padres responded by going to their closer, Robert Suarez, for a 4-out save opportunity. Suarez got Naylor to pop out. The inning was over. Emmanuel Clase pitched the scoreless top of the 9th inning. That brought us to the bottom half of the inning. Suarez went back to work trying to shut the door on what was a 2-1 Padres lead, but he had to face the very top of the Guardians lineup. Stephen Kwan grounded out. Angel Martinez struck out. So the Padres 2, the Guardians 1. The very dangerous Jose Ramirez at the plate. The final chance for the Guards. It was Suarez against Ramirez.
2-1 from Suarez. The pitch. Ramirez swings, hits it in the air to deep right center. Long way to go, Merrill. He'll get there to make the catch on the warning track, and the ball game is over. For just the 2nd time this year, the Guardians drop a home series. Padres come out of the break and take 2 out of 3 here in Cleveland against the team with the best home record in all of Major League Baseball.
Robert Suarez, more terrific work. A 4-out save, 4 up, 4 set aside, and the Padres pick up a very, very nice series win in Cleveland as they beat the Guardians 2-1. Again, the Padres now 52-50. Guardians drop to 59-39. Final totals in this one for the Padres: 2 runs, 8 hits, no errors. For the Guardians, 1 run, 2 hits, and no errors. Michael King, the winner. He's now 8-6. Ben Lively took the defeat. He's 8-6 as well. And Robert Suarez picks up his 23rd save of 2024. Let's go back to Progressive Field in Cleveland. Here's some post-game reaction.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. Presented by Sinley Food. Spice up your culinary life.
It's a good lineup over there that your starting pitchers did really well against this weekend. What do you make of King's effort today?
Yeah, more of the same. Waldron set the tone. Cease dominant as well, and Michael King was equally so. Can't throw much better, really. Clearly no hitter going into the 7th. Martinez is the only real blemish. But on the walk in the soft single. But man, he was good. Fastball, command, sweeper, changeup was filthy. Our starting pitching was tremendous. Our pitching the whole series was really, really good.
Did it look like he had maybe no-hit stuff?
Did to me. You're sitting there. He had the pitch count to maybe get there too. Thinking about a lot of different scenarios when you get that late in the game. You got to think about a lot of different things. But if he could navigate to 7th, he's going to grab the 8th. We'll have somebody back him up. He gets the 8th, and we'll keep riding it from there.
Do you ever think about during the course when you see good defensive plays? Luis made one, Kim made one, King snared one.
Yeah.
Do you ever think about that might be it? That might be the one.
Yeah, not necessarily. In a close game, you think about that's just a big play because it doesn't turn the lineup over. As we got later, Kimmy's play was in the 2nd. Michael's play. I think we had a defender behind him, but man, it was a nice play. Louis made a really nice play, as you mentioned. But yeah, you start to get later, defense matters clearly. So you want to have your best one out there. But he did a great job, and it was a big series win for us.
How much is a series like this a part of your whole belief system in that you guys come out of the break, you didn't go well into the break, you lost 7-0, and then you rebounded with these 2?
Yeah, that's why. I'll let other people overreact. That's fine. I know what this club's about. I know this game could be a challenge some days. We just came in here with a club that's leading their division, best record in the American League, best record at home. Just won 2 out of 3. And, to your point, Ace, down the first game, nip and tuck, got away from us, later. But I got complete confidence in our ball club.
The play Manny made, kind of pouncing off the bag and getting me out at second base. What was your vantage point on that, and kind of what went into that?
Yes, glad you brought that up, because that was just a really, really good baseball play. He's aware of the score. Peralta took a shot. Manny comes up. That's a tie and run. Cuts him down. That was a big play in that baseball game.
Washington, Vasquez, Waldron, Cease.
That's correct. Let's give some love to our bullpen guys too. Estrada, Suarez, tight game, 2-1. Got some big outs for us. And our man Higgy, big two-run knock.
Higgy's caught him 3 times, and 2 of them have been almost, taking no-hitters.
Here in Milwaukee.
Might Higgy catch him again?
I don't know.
Is that the kind of thing that speaks to you at all?
Yeah. I can't ignore that. Spoke to me today.
That was Padres manager Mike Shildt after this win against the Cleveland Guardians, 2-1 on this Sunday. Sam Levitt back with you inside our San Diego studios. In fact, this was the 2nd game this season where Michael King took a no-hit bid into the 7th inning. You might remember that game back on April 17th against the Milwaukee Brewers. Remember, he took a no-hitter into the 7th inning in that game. In fact, he got a little bit deeper in the no-hit bid in that one. He actually went 6 2/3 no-hit innings on that day in Milwaukee. But remember, Padres actually lost that game in Milwaukee. So, look, he also took a no-hit bid into the 7th inning. This one, the result was a little bit better, certainly more than a little bit, very much better for the Padres as they beat the Guardians by a final of 2-1. When we come back, we'll start to cycle through some of our daily awards. We'll talk a little bit more about that 7th inning. You heard Mike Shildt talk about it there, the great throw and play by Manny Machado in the 7th inning. A little detail in this game that really ended up being a very, very big part of this win for the Padres. So we'll talk a little bit more about that when we come back. We'll also take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard. We may have some additional post-game reaction from inside the Padres clubhouse, so stay tuned. We may or may not have that. We'll work on that for you, and we'll also take your phone calls if you want to get them in. 833-288-0973. Again, 833-288-0973 if you want to sound off about today's game. Again, the final score, Padres 2, Guardians 1. Our post-game coverage continues after this. Our post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Final score here today, Padres 2 and the Guardians 1 in this rubber match of the 3-game series in Cleveland. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios as we wrap this one up. We'll talk about that play from the 7th inning where Manny Machado threw out Jose Ramirez at second base in a moment, because I think it's really worth talking about how important that little detail in this game I think really ended up being in the grand scheme of this game. Obviously, the big story from this one, Michael King took a no-hitter into the 7th inning. He ultimately went 7 strong innings, just 1 run given up on 2 hits, struck out 6, walked 1, 85 pitches for King, 56 strikes. He had everything working, tons of swings and misses on that that changeup in particular here today. He was terrific as he picks up his 8th win of the season. The Padres bullpen also very, very good in this one. Let's tell you about our relief pitcher of the game.
Which pitcher was able to come in and slam the door shut? It's time for the relief pitcher of the game in support of the Jacobs and Cushman San Diego Food Bank, providing food assistance to local children, families, and seniors in need. To get help or give help, visit SanDiegoFoodBank.org.
2-1 from Suarez. The pitch. Ramirez swings, hits it in the air to deep right center. Long way to go, Merrill. He'll get there to make the catch on the warning track, and the ball game is over. For just the second time this year, the Guardians drop a home series. Padres come out of the break and take 2 out of 3 here in Cleveland.
Robert Suarez, a 4-out save, no doubt about it, our relief pitcher of the game. Here today, just excellent work from Robert. What else is new? 4 up, 4 down, and a 4-out save. And it was not easy. I mean, he had to come in the 8th inning, the tying run on first base, the go-ahead run at the plate in Bo Naylor got him to pop out to end the inning. And then the top of the Guardians order, Juan Martinez and Jose Ramirez, who's about as good as anybody in baseball, and as far as run producing, second in RBIs in the game this year behind Aaron Judge. Well, he got him 1, 2, 3. Quan grounded out. Martinez struck out. And like you just heard, Jose Ramirez flew out to center field. He hit it pretty well, but Jackson Merrill able to go back there and get it. And ultimately, Robert Suarez doing it 1, 2, 3 in the 9th inning, a 4-out save. And looking here, and I'm kind of doing this in real time, just to count the number of 4 or 5-out saves that Robert Suarez already has here on July 20th, or 21st it is. And bear with me. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that would be 6 including today. Am I right on that? Yeah. So that is now, how about this? That is now 6 saves for Robert Suarez out of the 23 on the season that have been 4 or 5 outs. I mean, again, we talked about it a lot in the first half, but this team's, well, I should say really Robert Suarez, his willingness to go get 4 outs, it has won this team some games. It really has. And the Padres had the luxury of doing that today. Look, you don't want to go to that well too often, and I don't think they really have, but today was a day where you could do it, right? You have an off day tomorrow. Suarez hasn't pitched since the All-Star game on Tuesday in Arlington. This was a day you could do it. You could ask him to go get 4 outs, and the great thing for Suarez is that not only, for the most part, does he always come through, but he typically does it very efficiently. Suarez still threw 16 pitches in the outing to get 4 outs, and again, 4 up, 4 down. So, look, Suarez, has a blown save or 2 mixed in there, but when you talk about just how great he's been, I mean, he has been such an important part of this team and this bullpen. Now 1.62 ERA in 39 appearances this season, 23 for 25 in save opportunities, and another big one here today, a 4-out save. So he was terrific and certainly a big part of the Padres now taking 2 out of 3 in Cleveland. There was a moment in this game in the 7th inning that was really, really important. Let's hear how it sounded here on the Padres radio network.
Michael comes set and ready. 2-1 to Ramirez. Here's the pitch. Swung on, bounced sharply to first and through. The guys go to his right, couldn't get there. Martinez trying to go first to third. Peralta's throw, cut by Manny. Throw to second, to tag. Out at second. What a play.
So that was the play in the 7th inning, and here's why it was so important. And let's just, before we get into it, kind of set the stage. Padres had a 2-0 lead. Michael King had just given up his first hit to Angel Martinez, that little flare into center field. First hit of the day for Cleveland. Then Jose Ramirez comes up, and that was what you just heard. Ramirez hits it into right, and the throw goes to third base. It was really sort of a mistake from David Peralta not to hit the cutoff man, because what that would have allowed, hypothetically, was Ramirez to get to second base. And then you're looking at a situation where it's the tying runs in scoring position with nobody out. But Peralta throws to third. Manny made a great play getting the ball early and then making a really perfect throw to Ha-Sung Kim at shortstop. They got Ramirez at second base. So again, instead of runners on second and third with nobody out, just a runner on third base with one out. And that ended up being critical because the Guardians do plate the run in Martinez from third, RBI ground out from Josh Naylor to make it 2-1. But if Ramirez is safe there, if he's in at second base, even after that ground out, the Guardians still have the tying run 90 feet away with one out. I mean, who knows how that inning ultimately ends up and how this game ultimately ends up. So Manny getting to that ball a little bit early, sort of stepping up to that throw in front of third base, and then making what was a perfect throw to second base, that was huge in this game. That was a little moment at the time, although really at the time it didn't seem so little because it was a 2-0 game, but you get what I'm saying. It was a singular play in this game defensively that ended up being really, really important and really ended up being a big part of this win. And look, anytime you're dealing with a 2-0 game, a 2-1 game, a one-run margin, we've said it before, the margins for error are really small, and you got to do the little things right, as cliche as that sounds. And that was a big, big moment in this game, that throw for Manny. And I got to tell you, now, I saw a replay of it on TV. I thought that Ramirez may have got in there, but regardless if he did or not, it was a super close play with the tag at second base. I was shocked that Stephen Vogt, the Guardians manager, didn't challenge that. One way or another, it's the seventh inning. That seems like a play you should challenge. It's that big of an out at second base, that point in the game. I was shocked. And I'll tell you what, I saw a replay they showed on TV here in the studio. I thought Ramirez may have got in. But look, it doesn't matter. They didn't challenge it, and the call was out at second base, and the Padres got the out, and they ultimately win it 2-1. So that was a really, really key moment in this game, and a really nice play by Manny to get to that throw a little bit early, get aggressive, and throw Ramirez out at second base. Final score, Padres 2, Guardians 1. Full out-of-town scoreboard when we come back, and if you want to get a phone call in, you can. 833-288-0973. Again, 833-288-0973. The phone number to call. We'll have our player of the game, play of the game, and much, much more as the Padres win 2 out of 3 in Cleveland. They beat the Guardians today 2-1 on the Padres Radio Network. Our post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios as we wrap this one up. Final score, Padres 2 and the Guardians 1 as the Padres take 2 out of 3 in Cleveland. We'll have a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard, our player of the game, play of the game coming up in just a little bit. And we'll also hear from Michael King in our next segment as well. So stay tuned for that. We'll get a little post-game reaction from inside the Padres clubhouse from Michael King. Really look forward to hearing what Michael has to say. He was so good here today. 7 brilliant innings, 1 earned run given up on 2 hits. He struck out 6, walked 1, 85 pitches, and was just marvelous here today. Let's go to the phones. 833-288-0973. The phone number, again, 833-288-0973. Let's begin things here today with Omar calling in from Murrieta. Hi, Omar. You're on the Padres postgame show. How are you?
Yeah. Hi, Sammy. How you doing?
Doing well.
Doing good. Yeah, great win today. I just wanted to bring up and talk about Donovan Solano. Just his absence from the lineup, since the All-Star break, and just what you think is going to happen to his playing time going forward with Bogarts back and with the trade deadline approaching. Is he going to be, you think, a trade player that's a possibility, or I just think he's way too good of a player not to be in the lineup, to having a great year and been one of the best hitters on the team.
Well, Omar, it's a fair question and a good question. I don't think he's getting traded anywhere for sure, but look, unfortunately for Donovan, He's sort of, I think, on a lot of days, and in this series, he didn't play at all. And unfortunately, he's sort of, on a lot of days, going to be the odd man out of this infield and the lineup. Now, look, we've talked about this before, where the situation with Solano, it should make you a better team, ultimately, right? It should make you a better, deeper team to have a guy like a Donovan Solano on the bench and starting when he gets in there. But to your point, look, Donovan's been very productive when he's been in there, and he didn't play in this series. And the reason for that is this. You look at the Padres lineups in this series. Manny Machado played third base every day. Xander Bogaerts played second base, except for today when he DH'd. And the lineup today looked like this. So it was Manny at third, Kim at short, Cronenworth at second, Arise at first. And DH was Bogaerts. And again, we've talked about this before. The only way that Donovan's getting in there is if you sit one of those guys. I mean, it's either Manny's getting a day off and Solano's playing third, or Manny's DHing and then Solano's playing third, and that means you've got Cronenworth and Arise and Bogaerts all, 3 guys for 2 spots on the right side of the infield. The point being, Omar, is, look, it's unfortunate for Solano in the sense that he's been very productive and he's not playing every day anymore. But I do think that in the long run, look, number one, it is what it is. Xander Bogaerts is making a lot of money, and he's a guy the Padres need to come back, and he's back now, and he's done a really nice job so far, and they need him to produce in a major, major way. And Xander's going to play. Manny's going to play. Cronenworth's going to play. Arise is going to play. Unless you're planning on, doing something with Ha-Sung Kim's playing time at shortstop, I just don't really see an avenue where Donovan Solano is going to be in this lineup a whole lot. Now, again, I think the hope is that you are a better, deeper team with a productive Xander and Manny and Arise and Cronenworth and hopefully Kim, and you've got Solano starting every now and then and coming off the bench. Hypothetically, you are a better, deeper team. But look, they've got a lot of guys and not enough spots on the infield and in that lineup where Solano's going to play every day. So, I get it, Omar, where you look at it and you look at how productive he's been, and it may be sort of a tough pill to swallow for the Padres not to be able to get Donovan in there. And I think they will find ways to get him in there. But, yeah, there are going to be a lot of days where he's not in there, and it's just a numbers game. And, unfortunately, Solano is going to be the guy on the outside looking in. But, again, not to hammer the point home too much, hypothetically, you should be a better, deeper team with a guy like a Donovan Solano available off the bench and starting every now and then. Let's go to Mike calling in from Chula Vista. Hi, Mike. You're on the Padres postgame show.
Sam, how you doing?
Doing well.
I tell you what, roller coaster ride this season, huh?
Yeah, no doubt about it.
I'm just wondering when this team can get past the 500 mark. I mean, I know we're there now, barely, but can we get up 7, 8, 9 games past 500? I don't know. Starting pitching is there, obviously. Big concern for the bullpen, mid relief mainly, not Estrada, but Kolick, and Peralta, Matsui, and De Los Santos. They're horrible. So that's a big concern there. And then what's going on with Ha-Seong Kim? I mean, he is something seems wrong with him at the plate. I don't know. I think he's had so many opportunities this year to make a difference in a game. Hopefully the offense could come alive, maybe with the return of Tatis. But is this team a 500 team or what?
Well, look, Mike, to this point, they have been a team that has been up and down all year, right? I don't need to tell you that. I don't need to tell any Padres fan that. And look, you had hoped when they, going back to the Friday against Arizona with the Manny Machado walk-off home run, that put them 6 games above 500. At that point, they had won 12 out of 15. And then they followed that up, including the first game of this series, by losing 7 of 8. Okay, we know. It has been a total seesaw roller coaster ride of a season. Up and down. You thought maybe they were kind of past that when they won the 12 out of 15. Unfortunately, they weren't, because they lost 7 out of 8 and they came back to 500. Now, the good news is they were in danger this weekend of dropping below 500, and they didn't. They found a way to bounce back in this series. But look, is anybody out there super surprised that they found a way to win this series? I'm not. Based on what they've been and how they've played against good teams, and a lot of this year, how they've played on the road, this is who they've been. They've, at times when you think, it's sort of coming off the rails, they found a way to right the ship, and they did that this weekend. Now, let's see what they do in Washington. Let's see what they do in Baltimore. But this is who they've been, right? Where just when you think it's kind of crumbling a little bit, they have very often, to their credit, found a way to right the ship. And it does feel like these 2 games were that. Now, what happens in Washington, what happens the rest of this road trip, we'll find out. But no doubt a really good couple of wins, and the pitching a huge part of it. Look, on the bullpen, and we talked about it plenty on Friday, look, they very, very much need, and again, we have the looming question of the trade deadline in 9 days, right? The Padres could have another arm or 2 by then. But without worrying about who they may get as we approach the deadline, to your point, Mike, we talked about it Friday when, it was a 1-0 game going into the bottom of the 8th inning, and there were 6 runs in the 8th inning against Kolick, Davis, and Reynolds came in. Ultimately, look, it's no secret. The Padres need, somebody or 2 guys, beyond Estrada, Morejon, and Suarez, who continue to be great. Yeah, they need other guys to be able to get outs consistently and step up. Now, one bright spot from this series was Yuki Matsui, I thought. I thought on Friday night he was great, and last night he was really good. 6 up, 6 down in this series. Fingers crossed you're seeing maybe some progression with Yuki. He's had his ups and downs so far in his first year in the major leagues. Maybe he's that guy. But look, it's no secret they need another guy or 2 outside of those 3 of Estrada, Morejon, and Suarez to be able to go get outs in some big spots. You just do in a bullpen in 2024. So, look, they were able to right the ship this weekend. We'll see what happens in Washington throughout the rest of this road trip, but I'm not overly surprised they were able to take this series. I'm not. Now, the pitching was a huge part of it, what they got from Cease yesterday, what they got from King today. But if you've been watching this team all year, every time it goes south, they typically find a way to bounce back. The question is ultimately going to be, when all is said and done, do they have a surge in them to go grab a wild card spot to make the postseason? Even if they, are hovering around 500, but still right there entering the final, let's say, couple of weeks of the season. We're a long way from all this. But do they have enough? Do they have a surge? Are they going to play well enough to get there? Can they avoid another skid, losing a 7 out of 8? That's going to be a big question, but no doubt a very good couple of days in Cleveland for this team. Let's take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard.
Let's take a trip around the Bigs and tell you about the scores you need to know in our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Meat, where great taste meets integrity.
We have a number of finals already today. The Rangers beat the Orioles 3-2 in Arlington. Cubs beat the Diamondbacks in 10, 2-1 in Chicago. Royals beat the White Sox 4-1 in Kansas City earlier today. Marlins beat the Mets 4-2 in Miami. Give me a second here as I refreshed my scoreboard. All right, page is loading. We're back. It happens. All right, Marlins beat the Mets 4-2. Blue Jays beat the Tigers 5-4 in Toronto. Rays beat the Yankees 6-4 in New York. Randy Arozarena, another home run in that one for Tampa Bay. Arozarena had 2 in yesterday's game in the Bronx. Cardinals beat the Braves 6-2 in Atlanta. Wilson Contreras, a home run in that game for St. Louis. Phillies beat the Pirates 6-0 in Pittsburgh. Nick Castellanos, a home run in that game for the Phils. Nationals beat the Reds 5-2 in D.C. James Wood, a 3-run home run in that game for the Nationals. And one other final, Brewers beat the Twins 8-7 in Minnesota. Games going on right now. Giants 3, Rockies 2 in the 8th inning in Colorado. A's 2, Angels 1 in Oakland in the 4th inning. Mariners lead the Astros 3-1 in Seattle in the 4th inning. And finally, one game yet to begin, the Red Sox and the Dodgers in L.A. at 4 p.m. And that is a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this Sunday across the major leagues. When we come back in our post-game coverage, we'll have our player of the game, play of the game, and we'll hear from today's starting pitcher, Michael King. 7 brilliant innings, took a no-hitter into the 7th inning as the Padres win it 2-1 over the Guardians. We hear from King. We wrap things up, get you ready for the series in Washington. All that and more coming up when we come back on the Padres Radio Network. Our post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Final score here today, Padres 2 and the Guardians 1. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. No doubt about it, the big story in this one, the terrific performance of Michael King. 7 innings, 1 run given up. He took a no-hit bid into the 7th inning. Before we hear from Michael King, let's tell you about today's, and I kind of spoiled it, but today's player of the game.
Which player had the biggest impact on today's game? Let's find out who is today's player of the game. Presented by Valley View Casino and Hotel. Catch every game at Patties and Pints. Plus, enjoy $4 beer every Thursday. Visit valleyviewcasino.com today.
Michael King, our player of the game here today. He was simply terrific. 6 no-hit innings. Took a no-hitter into the 7th. Just outstanding, really. 2 hits, 1 walk, struck out 6. I mean, really, when you look at how good he's been, I mean, maybe the best he's been all year. That started in Milwaukee where he took a no-hitter into the 7th inning. That was right up there. There have been some bigger strikeout games for him, but right up there as far as the just terrific performances this season for Michael King. But you really go back to the start of June. He's been great. He's been outstanding. And I'll tell you what, after 6 innings, he was at 70 pitches. You really felt like if he could get through the 7th inning, still with the no-hitter intact, like he had a real shot at it. Now, Angel Martinez blooped a single into center to begin that 7th inning, and that was that. But just a great outing. No doubt here today, Michael King, our player of the game. Let's go inside the Padres clubhouse, hear what Michael King had to say after this 2-1 win after he picked up his 8th win of the season. Here was King inside the Padres clubhouse. This is courtesy of Padres TV.
Fortunately, I was able to get a lot of soft contact that found gloves throughout the whole game. So just one of those where I felt like I made a good pitch, and soft contact finds a hole.
You've had some pretty good games. Today, like right from the first, you were making the hitters kind of look, and you were on. When did you know you were on today?
You're going to be mad at me here. I actually did not like how I felt today. I did not command the glove side fastball at all. 4 seams or 2 seams into all those lefties. Changeup was just perfectly executed, I feel like. And then Higgy called a great game, was able to keep him off balance, where instead of me having to go to the changeup every pitch, I could mix a couple other pitches just to get back to that changeup, and was able to induce soft contact and some swing and miss.
You guys work well together. Not that you haven't worked well with others, but what is it with Higgy?
Obviously, I have a lot of trust in him, and I think he knows that. Obviously, I also do my homework, but he knows my strengths, and we can always fall back on those if things are starting to hit the fan. But our conversations in between the innings are always great. I feel like we're always on the same page. And yeah, it's fun to work with him.
It's obviously a good team lineup. Like, what do you make of 3-3 this weekend and what that means for the rotation?
Yeah, I think that you've definitely seen flashes of it throughout the year. Obviously, we're still missing our big dogs, but I know we can compete against really good lineups, and obviously Cleveland's great in general, but also at home they're incredible. And I felt like we handled the lineup that they threw out every day. I mean, Dylan was absolutely dominant, and then I know we lost that first game, but Waldron did his job. So it's very encouraging, and I think that coming in after the break, it's nice to start on a good note.
What made the change up what it was today?
Command. I felt like I didn't hang any. I also felt like I was able to, what we call walk the dog, where like to those lefties I could throw one for a strike and then throw one a ball off and then throw one 2 balls off and still get swings on all 3 of them. And I think that Higgy and I were on the same page in terms of seeing their swings and not adjusting to that changeup, so it wasn't necessary to really go away from it. There are a lot of hitters that you'll see finally sit on it and go for it, and you have to do something else. And I think that we were able to read those swings pretty well today.
That was today's starting pitcher, Michael King, after the game. And how about that? King saying he actually didn't feel great today, right? So that's pretty interesting because it sure looked like he felt pretty darn good with the no-hit bid into the 7th inning. And again, that courtesy of Padres TV. Michael King going 7 brilliant innings, just 1 run given up on 2 hits, picks up the win as the Padres go on to win it 2-1. But, you know, we really haven't talked a lot about it because King was such a big part of the story. But anytime you win a game 2-1, how you scored those 2 runs, well, it ends up being mighty important. And the situation in the 2nd inning, a scoreless game, Kyle Higashioka at the plate, runners on 2nd and 3rd, and Higgy provided today's play of the game.
What was the crucial play that determined who came out on top? This is today's Play of the Game, presented by Bill Howe Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
1-2, Higashioka swings, lines it into left field and a base hit. Merrill will score. Here comes Kim as it rolls to the base of the wall, and Higashioka chugging into second base. A 2-run double and a 2-0 Padre lead.
Kyle Higashioka, the big 2-out, 2-run double in the 2nd inning, made it a 2-0 affair. And guess what? The Padres made it stand up as they go on to win it 2-1. Kyle Higashioka, our play of the game with the 2-run double in the 2nd. Michael King, 7 brilliant innings. Jeremiah Estrada got 2 outs in the 8th inning. And then Robert Suarez, like we've detailed, a 4-out save to shut the door. It's another beautiful day for a ball game and Military Sunday at that. San Diego County Toyota dealers are proud partners of the Padres and supporters of San Diego's military community. Thank you to all military members for your incredible service. Well, speaking of it being a beautiful day, it is right now, and I guess the good news for the Padres and for myself personally is that the Padres are off tomorrow. They'll enjoy an off day in Washington, D.C. on the way there right now. Padres then resume this 9-game road trip, the middle series of this trip in Washington. Game 1 of that series on Tuesday afternoon here on the West Coast. First pitch on Tuesday at Nationals Park at 3:45 p.m. Our pregame coverage begins at 2:45. Right-hander Randy Vasquez on the mound for the Padres on Tuesday, and right now it is TBA for the Nationals. So we'll stay tuned on who the Nationals will throw on Tuesday. But again, Randy Vasquez on the hill for the Padres. Our pregame coverage on Tuesday will begin at 2:45. As always, if you missed any of our post-game coverage, you can go back and listen to all of it on the Inside San Diego Baseball podcast with Sam Levitt, available on the Odyssey app or wherever you find your podcast. You can also go watch any portion of our post-game show on the 97.3 The Fan YouTube channel. Taking a look at the final totals here today as the Padres improved to 52-50. Guardians dropped to 59-39. For the Padres, 2 runs, 8 hits, no errors. They left on 9. For the Guardians, 1 run, 2 hits, no errors. They left on 2. Winning pitcher in this game, Michael King, who improves to 8-6. Losing pitcher, Ben Lively, who drops to 8-6. And the save goes to Robert Suarez, his 23rd of the season. Time of game, 2 hours and 33 minutes. And the crowd at Progressive Field in Cleveland, Ohio on this Sunday, 30,491. Once again, first pitch in Washington on Tuesday at 3:45 Pacific time. Our pregame show begins at 2:45. Until then, for our great studio coordinator, Frank Marchese, I'm Sam Levitt saying so long from inside our San Diego studios. Again, the final score, the San Diego Padres 2 and the Cleveland Guardians 1. We'll talk to you on Tuesday afternoon on the Padres Radio Network.